This podcast is supported by Docent Youth, a nonprofit organization where they position at-risk high school students to excel in the modern workforce by facilitating work-based learning opportunities while fostering competitive technical skills and promoting self-awareness. I'd like to introduce Javier Perez, a graduate at Kennedy High School. In this episode, he shares his high school experience and how ITA and the summer program helped him on his approach to pursuing his interest in computers and how that would look like in the future.
I always had an interest in computers, and the IT Academy was my first opportunity to actually take a class I was interested in. Anything and everything that had to do with computers, I wanted to learn. That first year, I had a bit of taste of everything. We worked with Photoshop, we worked with Dreamweaver, we worked a little bit with Illustrator, we worked with Java, coding, and animation. So it was a little bit of everything, like an introduction to what you can do with computers.
What did you like about the digital arts class?
Just what you could do. I wasn't too big into art. I never considered myself an artist. So I was amazed with what I could do on a computer using Photoshop and Illustrator.
Do you remember how you were like your sophomore year in high school?
Oh yeah, for sure. The first half of my years in high school, I was dead quiet. I was so shy. I didn't speak to anyone if I didn't have to. And my teachers can attest to that. If you talk to them, they see me talking now and they're surprised. They're taken back because some of them, they're surprised that I have a voice apparently. I was very shy. I didn't talk to anyone if I didn't have to. I changed during the latter half of my high school years, mostly due to the IT Academy and the summer program.
I remember that. That was back in 2013, and it was the end of your sophomore year. I approached you and said, Hav, I want to hire you as a web developer for the summer program.
I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what to expect. I was scared. I was still pretty shy.
Yeah. You declined really quick, but later you accepted my offer.
Yeah.
What made you change your mind?
The fact that you're trying out something new. That's always a good thing. I had never had a job before, and I was not involved much in anything during the first half of my high school year, because I was shy. And so, when you approached me about this job opportunity, I was kind of at first I'm oh, do I really want to do this? This means, interacting with other people, and oh my God, it's so scary, right? I didn't know what to expect, and that's kind of scary because I would always, the fact that you don't know what you're doing is scary in itself. You gotta take risks, you gotta take advantage of every opportunity given to you because we live in a very underprivileged city and we don't have many opportunities, so.
You knew this your sophomore year?
Yeah, I did it because the experience.
What was your first day like on the job?
So the first day we came in and we're all just sitting there we all came in about 20 minutes early. And so we're just sitting there and a little bit of silence, making small talk, wondering, asking each other, you know what this is about? What we're doing exactly? Because we had some idea, but we weren't fully sure what to expect. That first day, we kind of get told that, we're going to be working with clients. And oh boy, that's all kind of scary, right? I'm just a high school student and I'm going to be talking to adults. But you got to start somewhere, right? Got to make baby steps, get outside your comfort zone, a big part of high school. Slowly but surely, you learn to collaborate with your teammates. You start reaching out to people. You kind of start working on your own, right? No one else is going to hold you accountable but yourself. I started working out, making websites. And that's something we were taught in class, and that's pretty cool because you're applying skills you learned in the classroom in a real working environment with your fellow teammates. And that's a big part of life. You don't have to go through everything alone. You have the help and support of a lot of people.
What was the most useful skill you learned that summer?
I learned to grow as a person, for sure. I grew a lot during those few weeks. So as I said before, I was really, really, really shy during the first half of my high school career. You can't do that in a real working environment. You have to learn how to work with other people. You have to get their feedback, give them feedback. You can't be afraid to speak up or ask others for help.
You really did come out of your shell. You were contributing at team meetings,
right,
talking about new computer parts you wanted to buy. You even led some presentations. Do you remember what you did after the summer program ended?
So as soon as I got back, I went to Mexico during the latter half of that summer. As soon as I got back, I started looking into computers, and it was the first time in my life where I actually had disposable income where I could use it solely on myself. And I use that to pursue building my gaming computer. That's always something that generally interests me. I had done my research and I had seen what you could do on a gaming computer, and I wanted to build my own gaming computer, and like I started saving up, and slowly but surely I was like amassing my own computer parts. I bought them when each individual part went on sale. It took maybe like half a year to like save up enough for a computer, but I knew like from that point on that I wanted to work with computers. Like we were always told that our major should be something that genuinely interests us, and I thought, what else would my major be, like if not something in like computer? Well, the beginning of my senior year, that's when we had to apply for colleges. I got accepted into like the College of Engineering at UC Berkeley. It's really exciting because this is what I've been doing for like the past 3 years in high school. I was kind of already given a taste of that here in the IT Academy. As of now, I'm leaning more towards the software side, hopefully getting a job as a software engineer. Me, myself, being a gamer, I enjoy playing video games and I want to be a part of making those video games happen. There's a lot of cool things you can do. Like all the physics and all the intricacies of a video game is really, really interesting.
Good morning, you guys. Good morning. All right, so everyone log in.
My name is Crystal Simon, and I'm the Digital Arts and Web Design teacher at Kennedy High School.
Today, I'm going to give you guys an overview on CSS.
I'm one of the career technical educators for the Information Technology Academy. I teach a wide range of digital skills, including graphic design, animation, video editing, and web development.
HTML page. So now, we're going to make it look beautiful.
Within the IT Academy, we also have a professional development module where we teach students how to create resumes, what to say at job and college interviews. We even have them manage LinkedIn accounts.
So LinkedIn account is a social media platform intended for professionals. So whenever you guys get certifications or if you guys have new jobs,
the point is to help them learn real-world skills that they'll need in preparation for college and career readiness.
Kind of volunteer work, you want to include all of that into your profile.
The students seem to respond well to the professional development modules, but there's that moment that always happens, especially their senior year, when we tell them to update their resume and they have no idea what we're talking about.
There are some more opportunities upcoming for job positions and internships and more scholarships.
Yes.
So good. I like the enthusiasm. So we're going to do resume building. No. Fine.
This drives me crazy. It's like everything we taught them their sophomore and junior year goes out the window. But they're not completely at fault. How do we expect them to think professionally without any real context? For my undergrad, I studied art multimedia, and as I got closer to graduation, I thought things would kind of just fall into place. But when I realized that a prestigious art position wasn't going to fall on my lap anytime soon, I knew I had to do something. So I went out looking for gigs, approaching cafes and saying, "Hey, I'll design your logo for free lattes." Most of the time they thought it was a joke, but sometimes they offered a job. They'd ask for my resume and inquired about my rates, and I had no idea what they were talking about. Art and business are very different things. The issue with artists is that because we absolutely love what we do, we're willing to do it for free, which is fun in the beginning until you end up in the streets, hence the phrase, starving artist. I really need to show my family, who were still resentful that I changed my major from medicine to multimedia, that I can succeed with an art degree. More importantly, I needed to show that I was making income, especially to my roommate, who was breathing down my neck every month to make sure I pay my half of the rent, on time. So I spent many afternoons at the Emeryville Barnes & Nobles. You might have seen me squatting in the career section, where I was reading up on the secret to getting a job after college, acing an interview, and getting to yes. I still got declined from some of those cafes, but I kept reading more about how to approach potential clients and how to negotiate. I got a few small gigs here and there, but I didn't get a real job until after I graduated from college. M-Corp, an established marketing firm in the Bay Area, hired me based on my graphic design skills and the very little professionalism I had developed on my own. Their mentorship helped me learn a lot about art and business, two things that actually go hand in hand in becoming a successful designer. Even what they remotely taught me could have saved me so much time from walking in the dark. In my class, before we even get into professional development, I find it really helpful to have my students figure out what they want to do when they grow up. This is explored through a curriculum developed by Grow and Road Trip Nation.
Your foundation is who you are at your core, and no one can change that about you. So when someone asks you what makes you happy, you know your foundation is going to be your answer.
Instead of some cookie-cutter response like, I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be a lawyer, or some other career you know their parents told them they needed to be successful in, I have my students look deeper at their core values and interests.
Now, with your interests, however, that expresses your foundation. That's what brings you to life. It's what you do. So when you're doing something that interests you, chances are you'll feel like you're playing more than you're working.
By combining their personal interests with their core values, they begin to create a vision of what their life's work could be, meaning possibilities that go beyond just work or just a job.
So now that you guys have identified your interests, you're going to write them down in the blue boxes again, and then you're going to list jobs or careers that relate to your interests that you're curious about pursuing.
They begin to realize their own individuality into their life's work, instead of trying to fit themselves into someone else's job description.
So for example, if you have an interest in video games, what's a job that you can get?
Video game design.
Video game design. What else?
Tester.
A tester.
The moment when a student realizes what they really want to do, and they begin to understand the usefulness of their education in their own regard, that's like winning the Super Bowl for me. Because now, instead of them being told what to do by their parents, by their counselors, or even by their teachers, they now understand the meaning of choice and how empowering it is to make their own decisions. They've taken the initiative to consider their own interests with their values and how that could possibly look like in the future.
Well, what's your foundation and your interests?
Foundation is helping people.
This is Anderson, my sophomore student in my digital arts class.
And my interest is film and food. So with food and helping people, I put like cooking for the homeless. Also film and helping people. Basically a TV show like of people helping other people. And all of them together, I feel like I decided to make a YouTube channel and helping people in the third world countries.
Oh, how does that look?
Like giving them clean water and everything.
Dude, that's excellent. Simone, what did you come up with?
So I came up with sports, business, and education. Yes.
Okay, what kind of gig did you come up with?
For sports, business, and education, I came up with sports medicine. For sports and business, I can be a manager of a team, a franchise. I could also own like agencies and facilities where they play at. So that's like where they play at the Oracle or the Gardens, the New York Gardens.
Which one stands out to you the most and why?
Being a professional athlete, because I have a personal connection with sports and I love being physically active, and it's really a passion in my life. So I'd rather pursue a career being a professional athlete.
How does it incorporate business and education?
I want to go to college and I want to play for a D1 or a D2 school, and I want to at least play college ball, and if I can go professional and play for the WNBA or overseas, I would like to continue that further.
So you really need to be educated because you need to know what you're doing.
Of course, ain't nobody gonna cheat me out my money.
Excellent, perfect, good.
I was born and raised in Richmond, California. I went to Juan Crespi Junior High School, graduated from De Anza High School, but I knew I wanted something more. I wanted something different than I'd seen in my neighborhood or things that my family had done. No one in my family had gone to college at the time. While some of my friends were interested in college, most of them were going to go to CC or DVC, and I wanted something different. I had a passion to go to the best college I could get into. So through a lot of hard work and a lot of people helping and supporting me, and sometimes doing it in spite of people not helping or supporting me, I was able to go from De Anza to Harvard University. A big part of my career has been taking a bet on myself, even when others weren't willing to take a bet on me. An interesting story, when I first went to high school, I was called into my guidance counselor's office, and the counselor introduced herself and told me, under no uncertain terms, that she was going to change my class schedule. I asked why, and she told me these classes are too difficult. If you stay in these classes, you'll be failing all of them by the end of the semester. So this really upset me. I knew I had taken the proper courses to get into college track classes once I got to De Anza. But my counselor, the person who's responsible for helping me make the right course choices to get into college, was telling me I couldn't or shouldn't do that. I came home from school and talked to my dad and explained to him what happened. And I know that was a pivotal moment because I was very fortunate that I had a dad who, while teaching me to respect authority, also taught me to do whatever I needed to do to get where I wanted to be. My father knew I wanted to go to college, not just a four-year university, but I wanted to go to Harvard. And to do that, I needed to take challenging courses. I needed to do well in those challenging courses. I needed to have extracurriculars. And even though my counselor was telling me I shouldn't do it, my father said, if you know it's what you need, you do that. This is a hard story for me to share because your guidance counselor should be the one helping you to make the right decisions, challenging you to do everything you can to get into the best school you're capable of. But you know what? Unfortunately, that's not always going to be the case. So you are going to have to advocate for yourself. I was fortunate that I had a dad who told me to fight for myself. Not everyone's going to have that. You are going to be your biggest advocate. It's your responsibility to get the most out of your education. It will be your responsibility to push forward to achieve in your career. No one is going to do it for you, and at times, people may stand in your way. Even with the best of intentions, they may stand in your way or discourage you from pushing yourself harder. Be your own advocate. Another thing that was really important for me was surrounding myself with people who believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. The friends that you choose are one of the most important decisions you will ever make. The people you surround yourself with will pick you up, will help you get towards your goals, or they will distract you from it. They will stop you from getting there. I was very fortunate to have parents that supported me and helped me to believe in myself. I mentioned I was very fortunate to have parents that supported me, and I'll never forget my freshman year at Harvard. It was around Thanksgiving, and we didn't have enough money for me to fly back home from Boston to Richmond, so I was staying at school. And I remembered calling my mom. It was around midterm times, around Thanksgiving, I believe. And it was cold, and it was snowing, and I was sick, and I went from feeling really smart and getting great grades in high school to feeling like they let me into Harvard just to show me that I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. I was lost. I felt unprepared. I was scared. I was alone, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So I remember one night calling my mom, crying, saying, "Mom, I miss home. I miss my friends. This is really hard. Please just let me come home." And I will never forget, at the time I thought my mom was being so mean, but she paused. And in a very steady voice, she said, "We've already paid for this semester. We don't have enough money to bring you home for Thanksgiving. You're just going to have to figure it out." And then my mom hung up the phone. I thought, "You are the worst mom ever. I am telling you that I'm freaking out and I can't do this and I don't want to do this. And you hung up the phone on me?" But now I can look back and I realize if my mom had let me come home, I never would have gone back to Harvard. Really, in the best way she could have for me at that time, my mom reminded me who I was and what I was there for. I will always be grateful to my mom for hanging up the phone on me that day. fast forward a bit through my career, after leaving Harvard, I wanted to make sure that I could find a job that helped me to keep learning. It's so important to me that learning doesn't just happen in school. I think learning should be something that happens throughout your life. You should always try to do more, do better, find out what's next. When I graduated from Harvard, I went into something called management consulting. And it's a fancy word people throw around, but basically, it's kind of like a doctor for business. If your business is losing money or not keeping up with the competition, a consultant comes in to diagnose the problem. Do you need a better strategy? Do you need a better marketing approach? Are you going to the wrong target market? So you call us in with your symptoms, losing money, losing customers, and we come in with a diagnosis and a treatment plan to help get your business back on track. That was an awesome job to have right out of college because I got to see lots of different industries. I worked in healthcare, I worked in entertainment, I worked in retail. But at the end of the day, I wasn't really excited about what I was doing. I learned a lot, but I knew I wanted more. So I went back to school and really decided I wanted to be a marketer. When I thought about the things I got excited about, personally and professionally, it was seeing a great ad on TV or having an idea for a product and being able to bring it to life and then let other people know about it. So I went to business school with the intention of becoming a traditional brand marketer, someone at a company like Clorox out of Oakland or General Mills out of Minneapolis, where I would be the manager for Lucky Charms. And it's my job to determine what the next flavor of Lucky Charms will be, how we're going to market it, how we're going to design the package, get it on the shelves, and building a plan to sell as many Lucky Charms as possible. So that's what I went to Stanford to do, to recreate myself as a marketer. But when I got there, I had a chance to meet lots of other people who had done jobs that I'd never heard of before or worked for companies that I thought were just cool. So one day, I heard that the president of Nickelodeon was speaking at Stanford Law School. And I am the ultimate Nickelodeon fan. I loved Rugrats and Doug and Hey Arnold and all that. These are cartoons from the 90s. And by the way, I was not a kid in the 90s. I was already a grown-up, but I love cartoons. And I was a big fan of Nickelodeon. So there was a panel on the impact of media in the lives of children. And one of the speakers was the president of Nickelodeon. I went to that panel just to learn. I wasn't going to get a job. I wasn't going to impress anyone. I actually think I had on t-shirt and sweatpants. But I went because I wanted to learn more about a brand that I really loved. I think another example of being your own advocate was when I went to that presentation from the president of Harvard. I have to be honest, I actually cut my statistics class to go to that presentation. And even though I was supposed to be in class, and I'm not encouraging you to cut class, but I knew this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. My statistics class was going to be there 3 days a week for my entire first year. The president of Nickelodeon was only there speaking about the impact of media on the lives of children for 1 day. So I had a choice to make. Was I going to go to my class that day, or was I going to take a bet on myself to learn more about Nickelodeon, to learn more about a company and a career I thought I might be interested in? So I took that bet, I took that risk, and it paid off for me. Getting that internship at Nickelodeon opened the door to become to a 15-year career in the entertainment industry. And that 15-year career opened the door for me to come back to the Bay Area at a company like Google. So if you're going to take a bet on anything, take a bet on yourself. Like my dad says, if you don't play the lottery, you'll never win. If you don't bet on yourself, you'll never know what doors might open for you. So I went to the presentation and I heard the president of Nickelodeon talking about wanting to teach kids the importance of volunteering through programs like The Big Help, or the importance of democracy and getting out to vote through programs like Kids Pick the President. And I was so impressed with his passion around wanting to not just get more kids to watch Nickelodeon, but to help kids be better citizens, to see more in their lives than the four corners of their neighborhood. At the end of his presentation, I went up to speak to him and told him that I loved the Rugrats and saw the Rugrats live tour at the Oakland Coliseum. He asked me what my kids thought, and I said, well, I don't have any kids. And after looking at me sideways, he said, what did you say you do again? And I said, I'm a consultant by training, first-year student at the business school. And he followed with, well, what are you doing this summer? And even though I didn't go to get a job, I took the opportunity and said, well, I'd like to work for you. The point of that story is, when you think about your life as always being a learner, always wanting to learn more about things that are interesting to you, whether it has to do with your job or school or what have you, if you go in with interest, you never know what opportunities will come from that. Because I went to that panel, I was an intern at Nickelodeon between my first and second year at business school. And after being an intern, I went back to work for Nickelodeon full-time after graduation. And I went from an intern to a senior vice president in 5 years. Now, I'm not saying that just to say, oh, look how cool I am. I did that so quickly. But the real point of the story is when you combine what you do with what you love, that's where the magic is. Not every job is going to fulfill all of your dreams, and you shouldn't expect it to. But when you're fortunate enough to find a job or a company that you're a fan of, when you're doing work that you think is important or just really interesting, you will succeed and you will thrive because you're not just doing it for the paycheck. You're not just doing it because that's what you're supposed to do. You're doing it because you're interested. You want to learn more. You want to do more. You want to help solve this big problem. And that's what I found with Nickelodeon. Now, 15 years later, I've moved back to the Bay Area. I'm at Google. And I'll be honest, my first job at Google was really interesting and very cool, but it wasn't something I was personally interested in. I was interested in working at Google, so I took the job that they offered me. But after being here for 2 years, I had the opportunity to raise my hand and say, okay, I did the job you brought me in for. I delivered, and I have these successes under my belt. Now I want to do something that means something to me, something that I'm personally interested in. So just like I did going to Nickelodeon, I spent a year and a half proving myself at Google, and then raised my hand and said, I want to do more. So I was able to move over to a part of the business that I am personally passionate about, bringing opportunities and the opportunities that technology can bring to kids and families. I'm taking my personal passion, making life better for kids and their family, and bringing it to life every day in the work that I do at Google.
That was Sherice Torres, the marketing director for Google Commerce. Joseph Campbell once said, "The fates lead him who will. He who won't, they will drag." Campbell wasn't the type of guy who tried to talk anyone into anything. He taught, as great teachers teach, through example and through their own personal experience. Campbell also stated that preachers make the mistake by trying to talk people into belief. It is better that they reveal the radiance of their own discovery. And he himself truly revealed a joy for learning and living. I believe the highest criticism is to know the best that is known and thought in the world, and in turn, create a current of true and fresh ideas. This is what Campbell did, and this is what he instilled in his teachings. I want to offer this to my students as well, an opportunity to help them figure out what their life's work could look like in their own regard, not to be dictated by others. I also want to give them a chance to develop some real-world experience, and hopefully save them from those hair-pulling moments while on the job. And so, in my hero's journey, I hope to instill the same to my students.
Hey guys, this is Javier again, and thanks again for watching our second episode of Business of Giving. Check back every month for new podcasts to see what we're doing here at Docent Youth. On Friday, May 13th, Berkeley City College will be hosting their annual Multimedia Arts Student Showcase. several of our Kennedy High School students will be displaying their 2D animation work from MMR 186. Once again, the Student Showcase will be held at Berkeley City College and the event will begin at 5:30 p.m. Please come out and show your support.